Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. I honestly didn't think, well, I guess I shouldn't say that because nothing really surprises me anymore, but let me back up a bit here first. Obviously the lovely, beautiful blonde in the larger part of this collage is Harmony Montgomery. Harmony was murdered by her sperm donor. And no, I refuse to call Adam her father, her sperm donor about 6 years ago. She would have been turning 11 years old this June if she would have been given a chance. Back in February of 2024, Adam was convicted, and oddly enough, he's trying to seek a retrial, which I'm sure it's going to get thrown out the door and down the toilet, much like his fun experience in prison, where they apparently used the toilet and dumped his head in there multiple times. So he was moved last year to another facility due to that. And I have to say, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. But we're not really talking about Adam or Kayla, Step Monster, in this particular video. I want to concentrate on Crystal Sorey. Crystal Sorey is the biological mother or egg donor, the one who carried Harmony for 9 months. She was on drugs, specifically meth, and she had a lot of issues throughout her life. And Harmony went in and out of foster care. But when it became a real problem was when she was not there for Harmony. When Adam got out of prison and decided he didn't really know his daughter, Harmony, but he decided he wanted custody. He didn't want custody because he wanted to make up time and love this little 5-year-old. No, he wanted custody for the money. He wanted that check from the state every month. He didn't care or love Harmony, which is why she met a horrific, horrible demise after living a horrible life with him and Kayla. But Crystal likes to come out and say that she did everything that she could for Harmony, and that's just not the case. Let me play. There's an interview that she did with Brian Enton, News Daddy of News Nation. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, and let's hear what she had to say to Brian Enton at the time.
When was the last time you actually saw Harmony?
In a FaceTime video, like 2-3 days before Easter. I showed her basket. I said, I'm coming in a couple days. Mommy got you a basket, you know? I held onto that basket for a year and some change, hoping, that I'd have a chance to give it to her.
And what did she seem like when you saw her on FaceTime?
Terrified. I would say, hey, what's going on? What'd you eat for lunch? What'd you do today? Are you going to school yet? Like, how are your brothers and sisters? You got any friends? Little questions like that. I'm her mom. Like, I want to know these things. I want to know she's happy. And every time I asked these things, he would pause it and he'd tell, whatever he'd say to her, I can't hear him, he'd mute it. And he'd be like, don't tell her, don't, and she'd be like, and I'm watching her, so he'd unmute it, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, why are you muting it every time I ask her a question? Why aren't you letting her talk to me? Why are you answering for her? Like, you're acting weird, Adam. I'm like, what's going on? Like, we're co-parenting. Like, you're letting me have visits. Like, what's going on? He's like, no, I have sole custody, sole decision making. You don't get to ask me shit. And he hangs up and blocks me. And that was the last thing I had contact with her.
The Easter basket. The Easter basket will forever be in a lot of our minds. It was like a carrot. A carrot. She shows it to Harmony on FaceTime. Oh, look what I got you. I got you this awesome Easter basket, and I'm going to be there in a couple days. Well, Crystal, you never went there. And yeah, you're going to blame Adam for everything. You basically dropped off the face of her earth in her life. And she never got that Easter basket now, did she? You got to wonder where the Easter basket ended up. I think it ended up in the trash.
And saw her at all.
What made you call the police before Christmas?
It was a couple weeks, I had called right after he stopped talking to me, but I was talking to my therapist and I was telling her, like, listen, this is affecting my mental health. I can't sleep, I'm super depressed, like, my son's well taken care of, but me personally, I was really sad, like something right here all the time, just telling me, like, you got to get her, and I said to my therapist, I said, no one's hearing me. I've made reports. I've talked to desk people at DCF office because I didn't have a certain extension because Demetrius wasn't on the case anymore, which was the person that was supposed to remove her that didn't. He knew Adam personally. He was Adam's DYS counselor. So he was a conflict of interest from the beginning. So the 3 times they were supposed to remove her, they didn't because he knew him personally. And then I got word when Mauricio had reached out to me and said, I was told you had made past reports, and then they started asking me questions about Harmony, and I said, I still haven't seen or heard from her, nothing, and didn't hear anything. The guy I have all the text messages from the guy basically doing nothing. So I reached out to the mayor, and I said, listen, if you guys don't help me find my daughter, because DCYF and DCF and Mass dropped the ball on this one, let her slip through the cracks. I said, I'm going straight to the media. I don't care.
She sure weaves a tale full of garbage, doesn't she? Okay, maybe you called the cops and tried to reach out for a few days, but when they tried to reach out to you, looking for Harmony, asking to speak with you, you never returned their calls. Never. They could leave you a message. It's just nothing. And you only contacted the government, the mayor, because your biological son, Jamison, asked his fathers, because she no longer has rights to Jamison. He asked his fathers about Harmony. He wanted to see his sister. So Blair and Jonathan, his fathers, reached out trying to find out where Harmony was so they could get together, and it just never happened. And somehow along all that questioning, Crystal decided, oh, I can become relevant again. And that's when she decided to write this letter that she claims she did out of the goodness of her heart to the mayor.
It was like hours later, I got a phone call from the police in Manchester. And I had already called the Manchester police. They told me I couldn't file a missing persons report because he had physical custody of her. So they said, they told me go to court and file a petition to get custody. So I go there, and they tell me if it's a DCYF open case, then I can't go there and go to court. So they were running, like, sent me around for busy work, you know what I mean, while they were trying to figure out how to cover their butt. And it was just, when they knew I couldn't do anything at the courthouse, but they still sent me over there, you know what I mean? And then, you know, the cops called me and they're like, we're completely involved now. DCYF told me this is really suspicious, blah, blah, blah. And then it came on the news.
How is it possible she got to stay with him after all of
I
that?
don't understand. I still don't understand to this day. I had a court date on the same day of that hearing for Jamison's adoption. So I sent over to get a continuance from the courthouse saying, hey, we need a different court date. I can't cut myself in half. They denied my continuance and just handed him over custody because they wanted to wash their hands of the case.
So this is not true. It was not the same day. So Crystal just likes to lie and put things in her own, put her own spin on things. So no, she did not have to be there for Jamison. And secondly, if, let's say there was something happening for this adoption and all that stuff that same day, why would you be concerned about Jamison when you knew he was going to be adopted into a wonderful family, a wonderful, loving family? Why weren't you there for Harmony, Crystal? And your stories of this whole, what allegedly happened that day, they're just so untrue. Now, I will say the judge who granted Adam custody is also an a-hole in my book. He apparently owns a very nice boat or yacht, and he's retired, but apparently he's a substitute judge. So he should never be involved with giving custody of children to family. And he should have, and he still could, but it's probably never going to happen. He should have to answer for that. But again, I don't think it's ever going to happen. The bottom line is she is not a good mother. Has she ever been concerned about Harmony's well-being? Maybe. I will give her that. But she didn't care enough about her to push like she was trying to tell Brian Enton here and many others during this time period. She tried to convince everybody that I'm a good mom and I really care and I was trying to do everything I could do to save my daughter. Well, Crystal, you didn't do that at all. In fact, this is the reason I am doing this particular video. Because Crystal has decided to put herself in a supermom competition. She believes she's a supermom. You know, you have to laugh because it's just so disturbing and disgusting that she would even think that she could carry that title. Now, on the top it says, Crystal Sorey, I have 3 children. One was murdered by her father. My oldest and my youngest has autism. Well, you're right about that your oldest was murdered by her father. And you don't have 3 children anymore because A, Harmony's dead. Jamison is no longer you may have given birth to him, but you have no rights to him anymore. Now, this is apparently through Women's World magazine. The winner can get an appearance in Women's World magazine. They can enjoy a weekend getaway in Napa. And you know what else? They can take home $20,000. And I don't know about you guys, but I think it's all about the money for Crystal. Because why else would she enter such a contest? And oh, by the way, she doesn't currently have custody of her youngest either. I don't know much about it, but I could tell you she does not have custody of her youngest child at this particular time. And I've tried to give her the benefit of the doubt with the youngest, and I do wish her the best on that, but she's trying to claim that she is this great person, this great mother, when she is anything but a good mother. Okay? And just out of curiosity, I looked up on Google, what is the definition of a supermom? It's an exemplary or exceptional mother, especially one who successfully manages a home and brings up children while also having a full-time job. I think nothing in that description, nothing, and that's from Oxford, I guess, nothing in that would be describing Crystal Sorey. Okay? So, it's not going to let me scroll, but I will, but here, let me read you guys. There's some questions she had to answer on here. The question was, what is the most rewarding part of being a mom? Her answer: being able to heal parts of my childhood by being the best mother I can be and stopping certain cycles from continuing. Well, Crystal, where are you stopping this cycle? Again, I thought maybe with the third child you would have, the whole third, the third time's a charm. But guess that's not the case either. The next question is, what is one memory of your kids that you will never forget? Here's her answer. Each one being born was a different experience. So she can't describe any real experience except, well, each one being born was different. Well, I'm sure they're three different people, three different beings. But she cannot describe one memory of Harmony or Jamison or the youngest one. She can't. The next question is, what would you do with $20,000? She says, I would buy a car because I don't have one right now and invest in my children. Well, Crystal, I can see you probably want a car. I mean, that I see. You don't have children though, Crystal. See, that's a lie. You don't have children. You don't have Harmony. She was murdered. Jamison is living with his amazing family in Atlanta. And the third one is in some sort of foster care or other home at this time. So you don't have children, plural. Maybe you'll have a child back at some point, but you don't have children to invest in. So they go on to say, you have to register for this site, and I refuse to do so. And of course, you can register and help her be the next supermom. And I hope you don't do any of that. I actually sent them an email. I haven't heard back, and I told them all about Crystal Sorey, and it has nothing to do with any of the stuff that she said here. And the only good thing about it is helping if you make donations, I guess, to vote. You can vote once for free, and then after that you make donations, which helps support the Children's Miracle Network. Now at this point she's in 10th place, which is a good thing because as of this morning she was in 8th. So thankfully she's dropping down, and I'm hoping she won't make this first voting, because it looks like voting is ending on 4 hours 53. 2 times donation rather is ending tonight, and it looks like the first round of voting, because I guess they have certain rounds of it, The first cutoff is on Thursday, April 17th at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So I don't know where the cutoff is as far as the placing, but all I can hope for is that if they don't drop her off of this, which I pray to God they do, that, she totally, just doesn't even get in the top whatever they need to get there. This is not even the worst part of all this. This is not even the worst part. She included photos. Of course, of Harmony. And she's included photos of Jamison. Now, there seems to be only one in there now, when he was young. And now she's included, I guess, of her youngest. But she included photos of Jamison that are not hers. One photo in particular was Jamison with his father, Blair. She cropped Blair out and decided to put him on here. So she was using, she's already using Harmony because, my daughter was murdered. And then she was trying to use Jamison as well. Fortunately, Blair and Jonathan, they are working to put a stop to this crazy nonsense that she's decided to embark on. Okay? And he had a post on Facebook. It's since been deleted off of Facebook, but I think it might still be on X or Twitter. But I do have the screenshot of it. I admire the heck out of this family. Okay? I admire Blair and Jonathan and those boys. I think that Jamison is in the best possible place for him. And if it wasn't for Adam and that horrific judge, they would have been able to adopt Harmony. They wanted to adopt her as well. But here is the post that Blair put up the other day when he was informed of all this. The boys were on spring break at the time, so they were trying to have a good time with their family, but unfortunately this crap had to interrupt their family time. Here's what Blair posted. We were hoping this wouldn't be something we needed to address, but outside factors have left us no choice. We also know that this is being addressed on blogs and other social media groups, so we wanted to address it here directly because so many of you have been supportive to us, especially Jamison. This week, we were informed that a contestant for a Supermom contest was using our pictures of our son, Jamison, as her own in an effort to show she is his parent. She said she was planning to use the money from the contest to invest in my children. As many of you know, Jamison's biological mother, Crystal, lost custody before we adopted him. We have spent the past several days during our boys' spring break pleading with the website and the contestant, Jamison's biological mother, to remove his pictures that we own. So they even were trying to beg Crystal to cut this crap out. She didn't care. We have been faced with emails from contest officials asking us to try and prove that Jonathan and I are Jamison's parents. We have been asked to provide sensitive legal documentation and other private information to show we are his dads, which is crap. That is private information. And the same when I emailed them, I said, all you need to do is look up this person and you will know exactly who you're dealing with. It's ridiculous that she's putting Jamison and his family through this. It is ridiculous. Tonight, the contest finally agreed to take down Jamison's pictures for the time being. So they have at this point left off, except for there was a one younger photo of him still on there, it seems, as they're still working to verify we are indeed his parents. Hey, attention Women's World magazine. These are Jamison's parents. Crystal has zero rights to him. As they told us tonight, based upon our review, we will make an ultimate determination on whether or not to permit the images to be re-uploaded to the competitor's profile. Yes, we are in touch with legal counsel on how to proceed. Three, two, one. We find it absolutely unacceptable and disgusting for Jamison's image and likeness to be used in an effort to win a trip, money, or the title of Supermom. We do not support our son being used in this contest. We do support the many moms and dads who work tirelessly every day to support their children and be super parents. We won't let Jamison be victimized again and again. He nor his sister Harmony should be the basis of profit, especially based on the tragic chain of events. Our job is to protect him. Our job is to teach honesty to our boys. We have tried many avenues to resolve this before addressing it publicly. Thank you for being so supportive of our family. And again, she doesn't give a crap. It's all about the mighty dollar for Crystal. That's it. And if you guys want to write to them as well, I will include the link in the information of this video. Just send them an email if you want. I sent them one. If you like, just say, hey, we want you to remove her. She is the opposite of a super mom. She is a monster, horrible mom. No, she didn't kill her daughter, but she sure as hell didn't do anything to help her either. It is disgusting. It is. And I feel horrible for Jamison and that family. And he has been completely, he's gone through a lot because of his sister. Well, first of all, he's gone through a lot just because of who he is and his mother, his biological mother, and the fact that she lost custody. He was in the system. And then he's finally started to have stability and a loving family. And this person who, yeah, she gave birth to him, decides to continue to make his life a living hell. It should not be happening. And I just want to play a bit. He's spoken a few times to Court TV and others about Harmony and Jamison's continued love and relationship with his sister. And he and Jonathan and the boys, they are a better advocate for Harmony than Crystal has ever been.
What really saddens me, and I mentioned this on the show, and I would love for you to speak to it if you would, please, is that you and your wonderful husband, Jonathan, were willing to adopt Harmony too at the time that you adopted Jamison, but Adam Montgomery had asserted his parental rights with Harmony. Am I correct on that, Blair?
Sure. Yeah. And so Jamison is our third son. Our older two we adopted, and then we wanted to adopt again, or it found us. And we were matched with Jamison. And the day we were matched with him, we were instantly told he has a sister. He's been in foster care with this sister. She took care of him. And we said, tell us more about her. And we learned her name, Harmony. And we learned about her background. And we said instantly, what do we need to do? Because if Jamison has a close relationship with her, we want to have a close relationship with her as well. And told social services in Massachusetts instantly we'd be open to adopting her as well if that's what needed to happen. And we were quickly told, well, that's a different situation. And she's been reunited with her biological father. And we continue to say, please leave that door open, because it's important to Jamison. And even now he talks about her and talks about how much she has meant to him. And we wish we could have tried harder. We wish we could have done more. We wish that door was still open at the time. And we continue to ask, how is Harmony doing? And how can we still have a relationship with her? How can Jamison have a relationship with her? And we never got anywhere on that.
Blair, you and your husband are the most wonderful people. People like you are truly angels on earth, adopting 3 boys, giving them the most wonderful life they could ever have. And the fact that you were willing to adopt Harmony too, that she was loved, even though you really didn't even know her yet, you loved her and you wanted to bring her in. And I have to tell you, my friend, all I kept thinking about yesterday, reading that affidavit, was that you and Jonathan saved Jamison's life. All I kept thinking about was if his dad would have asserted his parental rights with Jamison too, I can't imagine what kind of danger he would have been in. I would think it would have been the same danger that Harmony was in.
We think about that a lot. We think about the life Harmony could have. We think about the life Jamison and Harmony could have together. We worry deeply about how this is going to impact Jamison. Our motivation all along has been, this isn't about us. This is about how is Jamison going to judge this when he is 15, 20, 25, 30, et cetera. And I'm starting to struggle with, I always thought we could navigate that pretty well. But when you read stuff like what we read yesterday, knowing the details of it, knowing what's going to come out in court, we start to, as a father, I start to question the peace that Jamison will ever have with this when he's old enough to really, truly understand it. Going through that affidavit yesterday, and I told you this yesterday, there was a date that stuck out to us, and that was December 7th of 2019. And in the court paperwork, they talk about how that was the day they believed that Harmony died. And we were going back through our own calendar, and that was the first birthday we celebrated with Jamison after we had officially adopted him. And we can't help but struggle to think about how we were here celebrating him, celebrating his life, celebrating him being a Miller, while his sister was experiencing a whole different world and reality. And that is really a tough thing to try to understand. You can't understand it.
No, because it is so sickening and evil. What happened to this beautiful little girl who was loved by your family, who was wanted by your family, and to think that she was living in a car, perhaps didn't even have enough food to eat. When I was reading the affidavit, a neighbor was kind enough to give them some Thanksgiving leftovers, didn't have a bathroom to use. It's just heartbreaking, as you know, Blair. And I want to highlight some of the incredible things that you and Jonathan and your 3 boys do to remember Harmony. And just the other day, I believe it was on June the 7th, if I'm correct, Harmony's birthday, you have a tradition, right? I want you to tell our viewers about that. We have one of your tweets where you put some pictures up and you talked about what little Jamison says about how all rivers and oceans lead to heaven.
Jamison is a really special little boy, and he's 6 years old, and he is wise beyond his years. And he is also very matter of fact about his relationship with Harmony. He knows she has passed. He knows she's in heaven. And my husband, Jonathan, and Jamison talk a lot about this and talk a lot about, how to remember her. And we'll constantly be in the store and say, hey, Jamison, what would Harmony's favorite toy be? What would her favorite color be? And we try to include that part of this conversation. But for her birthday each year, we celebrate it. And this past birthday, we went to the Potomac here in DC, and we had gotten 9 purple flowers, her favorite color. And that's a picture of our 3 boys. And we took them over there and had a moment. And Jamison had said he wanted to put them in the river because all rivers lead to heaven. And for a 6-year-old boy to be able to communicate that, it just hits you in the gut. And again, this is about trying to create some bit of normalcy for Jamison, so that one day he knows that he did all he could and we did all we could.
This makes me very, very sad. But I have so much respect for Blair and Jonathan. They are amazing parents. And they should carry the super parents title. Crystal, she's a super nothing. A super nothing. Again, listening to Blair talk about Jamison, it really does bring a lot of emotion, and I feel blessed that he and Jonathan are willing to share some of their life with all of us, because he has a Facebook page and Blair does, and you get to see the love that this family has for one another. And it just breaks my heart that Jamison lost his sister in this horrific, horrible manner, and that she couldn't have been saved and been a part of this wonderful family unit. But the bottom line right now is Crystal Sorey needs to remove herself from this competition. Or Women's World needs to do it for her. Because it is disgusting, like I've said, and I have to say, how dare you, Crystal? How dare you put yourself out there and think that you can fool people into believing that you are a super mom when you're anything but. All right, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the day. And most of all, stay safe.